What's up guys, it's Meg and today we're reviewing the latest episode of Robert Kirkman's new TV show called Outcast. If you guys have not watched episode 1 or 2 yet, you have to watch this show. If you like any type of horror or like demon possession, scary type movie, you're gonna like this show. I really think you are, so you've got to give it a chance. It's based off a comic book by Robert Kirkman, which I actually haven't read yet. I feel kind of bad about that, but I like not knowing what's gonna happen at this point, so I'm almost on the fence. Should I read it? Should I not read it? Let me know if you guys have read it and if it's worth it in the comments, okay? But let's get down to the review. So if you saw episode 1 was, it really set the bar high for this television show. I loved it. It was shocking and scary and disturbing, and yet it wasn't just a regular demon possession type show movie that you tend to see in theaters these days, where they're all about just scaring you and freaking you out. There's actually what seems like a pretty good story behind the demon possession like front of the show. So I'm excited to keep watching these upcoming episodes to see what the backstory really is on this Kyle Barnes character and hear more about what he's, been through growing up. So I didn't review episode 1. I should have. I just never got around to it. But as you guys know, episode 1 was pretty crazy. It was very intense. It was very, there were gross things that happened. And it was just very shocking all around. A very, very good episode. So coming into episode 2, that bar was set really high. There was a high expectation for an amazing episode 2 for me. I liked it. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, that was so good. But I had to take a step back at first because I watched it, then I was like, I was a little bit disappointed because I was expecting more intensity, another episode like episode 1. So I had to take a step back, take a breather, and then say, okay, we have to build a story here. What I liked about episode 2 was that we saw even more flashbacks of Kyle and his mother and kind of more of what he went through as a child, which is actually pretty terrifying. You have this mother that you love that is very loving towards you, and then all of a sudden she flips, just like we see that yard scene where they're in the backyard, she has the hose, and they're playing, having a great time, and then all of a sudden something comes over her and the demon surfaces or something, however that works, and she starts rubbing mud all over her face and eating mud, and it's just this really terrifying scene. And then as the episode progresses, we see that we're really watching the moments before Kyle unintentionally performed the exorcism on his mother. So we kind of see these moments where there are these horrible scenes in the kitchen where his mom is beating him and chasing him, and it's just very terrifying, and you can almost just imagine this poor kid and what he went through, and just like the horrificness of the whole thing. And it's just absolutely terrifying to have someone who loves you coming after you like that. And so in this episode, those are the flashbacks we're seeing, and we are also learning more about the present day Kyle. Now he's kind of had this awakening. He's been in this slump, it appears, for the past few months, living in his old house, his mother's house where he grew up, and it was very trashed and gross, and the water's turned off, and he's dirty, and he, you can tell that he has had a rough past few months, and he hasn't really ventured outside. He hasn't changed clothes really. He's just not taking care of himself at all, which is, he looks very depressed, and rightly so with everything that he's been through. Okay, so in this episode you see that the house looks a little bit cleaner. He has running water, he's wearing actual clothes, and I think he had this when he was with Reverend Anderson and Joshua, and he was able to get the demon out of Joshua, and Joshua is normal again. He kind of had an awakening, and he is being more proactive with his life, I guess. He wants his daughter back, his family back. He wants to have his old life again, I'd say, and this experience has kind of opened his eyes to the fact that maybe he can change things. So we see him visit his mother again, and he's kind of disturbed about the way she is being taken care of in this hospital that she's in. And he also now has this thought in his head, can he reverse what has been done to his mother? He keeps saying, and he said multiple times, that what happened to Joshua and how we see the possession, you know, we see the demon leave him. He said it was different with my mother. Now, at this point in the show, we don't know what that means really, but he's still kind of convinced that maybe the reason she's in this catatonic state is that there is some part of the demon, or there's maybe something still inside of her that's preventing her from coming back and being normal again. So we see him steal her, which you don't realize at first, but steal her from this hospital, bring her home. And there were a few times here when he's in the house with her where I was disappointed because I was almost anticipating something super creepy happening, such as, yes, she did still have part of the demon in her, and you know, she gets up and appears in a weird place, or that one moment when he looked at the closet or at the cupboard door in the kitchen and he was having flashbacks. I actually for a moment thought maybe his mom would be standing in there, had moved around the house. And so that's where the previous episode comes in here for me, where I had such high expectations for like a scare factor or a shock factor coming into episode 2, that I kept expecting to be like to have a jump scare, or to be like, you know, have something very scary happen. And I kept getting let down because nothing was really happening, and so it almost made it hard to focus on the real story of the show. So I don't know if I'm the only one who was expecting more in this episode, but that's kind of where I was struggling, because I kept wanting something scary to happen, you know, based off of what happened in the first episode, and it just never did. So that's why I was a little disappointed. But we see Kyle really working through his feelings towards his mother, where she did these horrible things to him under possession. And I mean, he just had a horrible childhood from the point where she started acting like this up into the point where he did his exorcism, okay? And yet, even despite all of the horrible things she did to him under this possession, he still loved her, and he was still able to remember these good times and these loving moments that they had. And that's what really he's kind of battling with. And so we see him and Reverend Anderson try to perform another exorcism on his mom, and he tries to make her drink his blood, which he's discovered does have some sort of effect on these demons, and nothing works. And you just really see how sad and maybe even devastated could be a good word, he is when nothing happens, when he realizes that that is just the state that she's in now. And he eventually takes her back to the hospital, and I really liked what the Reverend said to him after this all happened. If you want to reclaim your family, you got to let your mother go, because he was so focused on his mom and feeling guilty and trying to bring her back that he can't focus on him and the new him and moving past this and taking steps to reclaim his family, as Reverend Anderson says. So I liked this Kyle Barnes story in this episode too. I like seeing more about him, more of what he went through. I'm enjoying these flashbacks. Moving on though, we also see his sister. I think his sister's name is Megan, right? I should remember this, right? But we get to see her a little bit more, and it turns out that it's Kyle's daughter's birthday, and we see this moment where he wants to give her a present. There's obviously a no contact order involved, so technically he can't do this, but Megan eventually does give anonymously the present to his daughter. I liked being able to see his wife and his daughter and Megan kind of interacting together, because you get more of an understanding here of what is happening on the other side with the daughter and with his wife, or ex-wife, I guess, I'm not sure at this point, and kind of what they're dealing with. So we find out that there's a lot of anger between the daughter towards the mother as to why Kyle isn't there anymore. Now, they still haven't quite explained what happened. We only see the flashback in episode 1 of the fact that his wife had been possessed, was trying to kill the daughter, and Kyle came home and got involved. I'm assuming that Kyle may have beat the wife or something when she was possessed in order to get the demon out, something like that. We haven't seen those scenes yet, but we're assuming that there is a no contact order in place because of something he did to the wife while she was possessed. And it's really sad because, you know, it makes you wonder, did the wife not know? Or because we see a completely different side when Joshua has his exorcism happen, and, you know, the mom doesn't press charges or anything because she knows that that was what needed to be done. So it kind of makes you wonder what happened here. Does the wife know that she had been possessed, or, I mean, what's happened? I don't know. So obviously, because I haven't read the comics, I don't really understand that portion of it, but I'm assuming that he must have done something like beat her up or something in order to get the demon out of her, and she did not appreciate it, potentially. I don't really know. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments, okay? It's a little confusing for me, but it's kind of trying to piece together this puzzle. I enjoyed following the cops around as well. So I don't know their names. I should probably. I suck at these reviews. But one of the younger cop is Megan's husband. So he doesn't believe in any of this, really, any of these demon things. He obviously has he doesn't like Kyle. He thinks he's a bad guy. He doesn't believe in these demon possessions. So obviously he thinks that Kyle is just beating up little kids here. And we see this older cop who's friends with Reverend Anderson, and he is more trusting of Reverend Anderson. And I don't know that he 100% believes, but part of him does believe in what's happening. So we find out that someone has been killing these raccoons in a really disgusting way, pretty much gutting them, cutting them open, and hanging them almost like Jesus up on trees in the forest here. And there's multiple ones, and we see these two cops you know, walking around, and they find this trailer. Now inside this trailer, it looks like someone has been holding another person who's under possession, because you see the scratch marks inside. We see the chain on the outside, which means that someone was locking someone else in. And then we're kind of left hanging. We don't know where that's going or what's happening here. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more on that storyline, but hopefully we'll find out in episode 3. And also, the final thing is Data. Do you guys know who that is? Okay, here's an image. Okay, maybe some of you aren't as old as I am. Data is from Star Trek Next Generation. He's what is he, an android or something like that. Anyways, I think the dude's name is Brent or Brett Spiner. He's an actor. He's who is playing, I believe the guy's name is Sydney in this episode of Outcast. But it's very hard for me to take him seriously because I grew up watching Star Trek, Star Trek, and I can only ever see him as Data, and so it's very hard to not think of him that way. So I found myself laughing as I watched this. But this dude Sydney is really creepy. We don't know who he is, but he knows a lot about these demons, and it almost seems like he either is one or he's like some version of the devil or something like that, because he goes and visits Kyle's mom in the hospital. I mean, he's been watching Kyle this whole time, and after Kyle leaves, after returning his mother to the hospital, the Sydney guy goes in and starts talking to the mom and is basically saying things like, you put up a really good fight, if only Kyle knew how much you tried to fight it. Basically, it's almost like this dude was the demon that was inside of her or something like that, right? I mean, did you guys get that? That's kind of what I was taking from it. Don't spoil me though. If you guys have read the comics, don't give me spoilers. I probably should have said that at the beginning, but if you've read the comic, please don't spoil it for me, because I really have no idea what's happening at this point. So I'm interested to find out more about the Sydney guy. Who is he? What is he doing lurking around? Or is he, you know, is he the demon that was inside? I don't know. There's something much bigger here that I can't wait to find out more about it. All in all, I thought this was a really good episode. Wasn't the best, but it still furthered the story quite a bit. I enjoyed learning more about Kyle and really seeing more of the individual characters here and learning more about them and kind of their thought processes as well. It kind of helps us enjoy these characters more and bond with them, if that makes any sense. So I really liked it. I am really excited to see episode 3. It looks fantastic. It looks like it's going to be a little bit more exciting than episode 2. And I hope that if you guys have not watched Outcast yet, that you'll give it a shot. We're only 2 episodes in. You can still catch up. It airs on Cinemax Friday nights at 10 p.m. Give it a shot. If you film reaction videos, send them to Skybound as well, because they might feature you in the compilation videos they're doing weekly. They're super funny. If you haven't checked out Skybound's videos, make sure you do that as well. So let me know what you guys think of Outcast so far, and I will see you guys next time, Sunday, with my Game of Thrones reaction. Hope you guys are having a great day. Bye.